trying to start the recording before the video fails, and I get concerned that we can't actually use the video anymore. So, Video Land, I'm sorry about the weird noises in the background. We are 3D printing while we're doing this because I don't want to stop my 3D prints anymore.
Okay. It's been painful.
I think we should all hit our microphones a couple more times.
Well, I'm trying to get my headphones on. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. But can we hear you now? Yes. Why are we whispering? I don't know. Okay. What? Are we ready to start?
I feel like we're doing
Okay.
ASMR over here.
All right, here we go.
3.
Shit. You can't do that to me. That's not fair. Not fair. All right, here we go. Hey, folks! Welcome to this episode of the GalaxyCast. I have with me,
3.
and the people in the studio, I have with me Austin the Inquisitor.
I feel like we should just jump in the video game nerd. Why not?
Austin the Nerd. I have with me Gary the Stud.
That would be me.
And I am your host, Bob Chrisman, as always. And tonight, I kind of mixed those together. We don't have much to talk about. I gotta be honest with you. I mean, at least before we talk about the TV show we watched this week, which ironically is not a Star Wars show, we don't have a lot to talk about. I think things are shut down. Austin, why are things shut down?
COVID.
Because COVID. Yeah, we don't have COVID, but apparently the rest of the world does. And well, as long as we stay in our bunker down here in the Star Production Studios, I think we're going to be safe.
Because COVID.
Because COVID, right. I mean, like, look at all the cool things we get to, like, hang out around. I mean, so why wouldn't we hang out in our bunker?
Yeah, they get to hang out with me.
Stay down here. Yeah. Gary's the most important part of our hangout session. So, right next to Slave Leia. So, I mean, it's a tie. It's a toss-up. We have Gary, we have Slave Leia. I'm not sure which one I want to look at more. So, we hang out. Yeah, we hang out in our bunker down here.
Alright, we have already reached this level.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. Okay, so we have two things we're going to talk about at the beginning of this episode. We're going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier, just released a set video, and a little bit about what's going on with Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then my son brought up an article from Screen Rant titled Star Wars, 5 characters who deserved bigger roles and 5 who deserved smaller. And I'm sure it is going to create a tussle and a debate.
I just was scrolling through Facebook. I just found it. I was not looking for something.
Okay. Okay, so Falcon and Winter Soldier. The set video just came out showing U.S. agent, who, by the way, is played by Wyatt Russell. I kind of agreed with Gary when he was like, who's that? I was like, I don't know. Let's go find out. And I got to be honest, I think the answer is, I don't know. I think he's kind of
his oldest role is back in '98.
Well,
and it was a bit part in the background.
Yeah,
in '96 and '98 he was undocumented in the background essentially, and then 2010
he played Todd the Soldier.
Right. So
that's all that matters.
That's really all that matters. And by the way, if you don't know what that means, we don't either.
I mean, he was in Arrested Development, which I think was a Netflix show.
1 episode, it looks like.
Maybe, like...
He was in the Walking Dead webisodes for 3. I'm not even... This guy's kind of a nobody, to be honest with you. I'm sure there are other people that are going to write to the show and be like, what are you talking about?
He was in 22
Jump Street. Sean Dudley in Lodge 49. I don't know what that is. I think that's a TV show. I'm not even sure. Oh, it's just TV series. So that's got to be what it is. But I don't know who this guy is. Here's what I will tell you. Of all the Captain Americas, John Walker is actually my favorite. And I know a lot of people are like, wait, what? Like, why would you like that version of Captain America? You want to know why I like that version of Captain America? Because the guy kicks A as Captain America. It's like Captain America unhinged. And that's the one thing I like about the video.
You see him losing
You see him using Cap's shield and beating the ever-living out of somebody using the shield.
We can't see who. It's too far away.
No, we can't. It could be, for all we know, it's Zemo. You know what I mean? We don't know exactly who it is. But
I would laugh if it was Falcon and he's beating the crap out of
maybe.
Falcon.
I don't know. It could be. Or even Winter Soldier himself, Sebastian Stan. We don't know. Could be. That's why I like U.S. Agent, because it's Captain America with the not, it's like Captain America.
But he's not a Boy Scout.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. He's
And
Captain
that's-
America if you take the Boy Scout aspect out of it, and he just is a bad A. And that's what I like about U.S. Agent. It's like taking the Captain America role, but taking some of the tie downs of Captain America out and just letting the guy be a guy. And what would a guy with that kind of power do? And I really think that's what U.S. Agent is. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I like the idea that we're going to see Batroc in there. We're going to see Zemo. We've seen some set photos of Zemo, and he looks pretty amazing, actually, on the set
Didn't we
photos.
have Batroc and Winter Soldier, or was that like...
We had
Batroc.
Batroc the Leaper on the ship, and I believe that was Winter Soldier, yes.
Yes.
But here's the thing. From what I can remember, first off, he got away.
He got captured later on in the movie.
Yeah, I think he got captured.
He got captured. He escaped. I'm pretty sure he escaped.
Okay.
And
Probably Zemo's the one that...
probably released him, I'm
Yeah.
thinking. And here's the other thing I think we're going to see. Batroc was never officially Batroc. Like, he wasn't in the jumpsuit Batroc.
He had the purple and orangey pants.
No, he didn't. If you remember, he
did. Yeah, he did. When
I-
he was talking in French with Cap and Cap took off his helmet, he had the purpley with an orange stripe down the side. It wasn't
I'm
exactly
pretty
the
sure
same.
he did not. So I think you're going to see Batroc the Leaper as in Batroc the Leaper. Here's the other thing I always liked about Batroc the Leaper they didn't show. They did not show him with like the mustachey goatee thing, and I think it would be cool to see him that way. So production started on this again, and it's interesting to know that they're now a full year out now, I think, from it being released on Disney Plus. Now, one other thing I thought we could talk about while we're talking about this. Disney's under a lot of pressure all of a sudden to release Black Widow on Disney Plus because theaters are not helping the situation here with COVID.
That's theater's fault.
It's not the theater's fault. You're right. There are some states that are allowing people to go to theaters and some states that aren't. AMC and Regal have both decided to file bankruptcy, which I find interesting because it sounds like both major theater chains are about to go belly up. And if the two major theater chains go belly up, I don't know what's left. I mean, that's, my wife and I were just talking about that the other night. Like, all you have left then is the personally owned theaters, right? The small, itty-bitty ones, and your drive-ins, which are kind of popping up as a big popular thing again all of a sudden. But they're not going to be popular in the winter. I mean, that's not feasible. We live in New York State, for those people that don't know. I mean, that's, outside theater, not a thing. Sorry. Once we hit, like, I would say in the next month or so, end of November, early December, going outside for theater is not going to be a thing that's even possible. I would even start to suggest even right now it's starting to not be possible. I don't know.
Do you theorize that maybe it's they're filing Chapter 11 or bankruptcy to cover their ass for the expenses so that they can maybe after COVID be able to open doors up and get back to normal thing?
That is you've obviously read some of the articles. That is one of the summations that is being made that they're trying to protect themselves right now from debt collectors who might, people that want to collect rent on their theaters, people that they may owe money to, like, popcorn vendors and stuff like that. Coca-Cola. It's a possibility that they're just trying to protect themselves from liability.
And nothing says that they won't be gone forever, that they can't come back.
AMC has hinted that they don't want to leave forever, and Regal has said they are only shuttering their doors as in an effort. How'd they word it? They're shuttering their doors in an effort to cut cost expenses. So basically, they're telling their employees, go find another job. We don't think we're going to be back anytime soon. Basically trying to make sure that they cut their losses. And I even think they're telling their general managers to go find other jobs. They're
Right.
basically cutting the entire staff and just saying go.
They can close the doors and save on electricity and heating and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. So
And
I think that's...
and might be able to get away with rent for a while because they're not using the building, so therefore they don't need to rent the building.
And there's an argument for or against that. And, the president's done some things that potentially could help in that situation. But yes. But I think the big thing here, the big question that's really at hand, and we'll get to the bigger question, which you're bringing up, which is the movie industry. We'll get to that one in a second. I want to talk about the Disney situation here. So Black Widow has been produced, filmed, edited. It's done. It's in the can. It was ready to go when COVID hit. As a matter of fact, we were a month and a half out from it being in the theaters.
Yeah.
And so there's been a push for Disney to wait till theaters open back up. The problem is most theaters in most states are not opening back up
Anytime soon.
And so now there is an investor in Disney who's trying to get Disney to release Black Widow on Disney Plus.
And do it kind of like Mulan.
But let me ask you guys first, do you think that's a good idea? Do you think opening up Black Widow on a Disney Plus app is a good idea? What do you guys think? Gary, what do you think?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The reason why I say it is to keep your content fresh, you guys start someplace by releasing new content for it. And right now, that's the only thing that's new for them that they can put out for a month or two. That would be considered new. And no, because they'll not make the money that they've made, to reimburse themselves from what they've spent on making the movie.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to pay $20 to watch it.
Well, it's an extra $10 on top of this prescription, because that's what it was for Mulan. It was a similar thing. That they did that, and I'm sorry, it was a spectacular failure.
Well, I think Mulan was a failure for different reasons. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm just kind of getting your opinions on, do you think this is a good idea for Disney Plus to put Black Widow on their app?
I'm saying a very hard no, because there's something about going to a movie theater and the screen and the surround sound system there that you cannot get, and I say this all in the world with your sound surround system, that you cannot get at home.
Well, yeah, your experience, but at the same time, though, you got to keep your stuff fresh.
I'll agree, but you have The Mandalorian coming out at the end of the month.
Okay, Mandalorian's like 9 episodes.
Right. I get it's 9 episodes, but that's something. And I would even advocate maybe start trying to push through WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, try to push those.
But they can't.
They're a year out. They're not even done producing them yet.
They're not even filmed.
Right. They're not even in the can.
No.
So here's where I'm actually see now Gary's getting to my point. Actually, you're starting to make my point for me. Disney Plus is getting dry. There's not much there, except for old Disney films, old Disney TV shows, all the things you watched before as either as an adult or a kid. Okay, new content-wise, Disney's not really releasing much on their app. And I actually understand what this investor is saying. Disney went out and made a huge gamble on their streaming service and put this Disney Plus app out. And then they went, oh, we don't have content. Right. And they started scrambling to get all this Marvel stuff together, and it was great, but then COVID hit. And the really weird thing is they have this thing. They have this anchor that could be huge. Okay, now I'm not saying there's not a ton of people on the Disney Plus app. There are. Tons of people have it. But I'm saying if you want to get the rest of everybody who's geeky and nerdy totally buying into your Disney Plus app, throw Black Widow on there and watch what happens. Now, I get what you're saying, Gary. I know you wouldn't pay $20 to watch the movie, and it was actually $30 to watch Mulan.
Oh,
I have a feeling they'll bump that price point up to maybe $40 for Black Widow. But let me ask you, if somebody like myself were to pay $40 and invite a bunch of people over to watch the movie, you'd happily go, right?
Yeah.
Do you get what my point is there?
As long as you don't charge me any money to...
No, I get it. I totally get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is I totally could see people like doing watch parties, you know what I mean? Inviting people over and watching Black Widow together, kind of creating your own movie experience in your home as best as you can, and watch the movie together. For me, if I'm Disney, the longer Black Widow sits on the shelf,
the more money you're losing.
The more money you're losing in the long run.
Kind of like dead loss.
This is kind of like a grocery store. The longer that can sits on the shelf, the more money you've lost, right?
Now, here's the other problem I got with Disney. They bought Fox's movie rights.
They did.
To everything.
Yep.
All right? They are a G, maybe PG, rated app.
Correct.
There's a lot of content that they could put out, and they're not doing it because it's rated R or
or worse.
And that's a big mistake for them.
I agree with you.
You know, they should allow that on there.
I agree. Well, even if it's on, and I know what they're doing. I know they want to be like family kid friendly. I'm actually for that. I like that idea. Good concept, good idea.
I was gonna say,
But why not have like a double blinded type app, right? Where you've got your kid side of the app, and then maybe you have to enter a passcode to enter the adult side of the app.
or
You know
you
what I
have
mean?
it set up kind of like what Netflix and YouTube do is they track the age groups of these accounts. So you have, when you put your account in, you have to put an age in, and it locks videos.
Yeah, as long as you're being honest about who's on the account at what age. You know what I mean? And I get what you're saying. I'm saying you could do it past however you decide to do it.
You could
But-
set up parental controls,
Right.
which
You
is
could.
an option.
But again, the parent has to be there. And
Correct.
The parent has to give a crap.
Correct. There has to be a decision made in that house on how that's going to be handled.
And on a side note, Disney did update their app so you can do a virtual watch party.
I know
So
that.
when you click on it, you can click virtual watch party. So that is an option as well.
But my argument is, okay, you want to stay fresh. Release Black Widow. Whatever else you might have that's in the can that you're waiting for the theaters to open back up with. Release it on the app. And also release the other stuff that you got in your library.
Right. I agree with you, Gary.
No,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Disney stuff that's on that you know, but they're not releasing it yet.
I agree. They got to start doing something to draw people in, and what they're doing right now, this little trickle, it's not enough. I mean, when you compare it with Netflix, Hulu, other streaming services, they're getting their money's worth. Don't get me wrong, they're earning money off of stuff that's older than sin, right? But at the same time, I'm not sure it's enough. I'm not sure they're making enough to compete with Netflix and Hulu and some of these other services.
I can almost say that COVID actually was the downfall for Disney.
It might have been. Yeah, I agree with you, Gary.
Because
Their people are stuck inside. They stream everything.
exactly.
Right, and so now everybody's seen everything on Disney Plus because they haven't had any more content on. A lot of people have actually gotten, and Ruth talked about that. She's at the end of Disney Plus, as she put it. In other words, it's kind of like playing that video game, right? You play the story, you get to the end, you're kind of like, well, I'm done. You know, like you don't have anything else to do on the game, you know? And she kind of feels like she's seen everything she wants to see on Disney Plus. There's nothing more for her to watch. She's done with it, right?
Well, here's the questions I got for you. Have you watched Disney Plus at all, Bob?
I've watched it quite a bit.
What movies did you watch on it? That was actually Disney movies.
Like we watched like Hocus Pocus and stuff like that. I watched Davy Crockett. I took some, I watched some things to take myself back, nostalgia type things.
During
And
COVID, when he's stuck inside.
Right.
And
but like I haven't watched any of Marvel stuff on there, and one of the reasons I haven't done it, to be honest, is because I own them all on Blu-ray. Why wouldn't I pull out my Blu-ray player and do that?
I watched all the Herbie the Love Bug movies.
Yeah.
Midnight on Broomsticks.
Okay.
All right. A movie that I would not really go out of my way to watch is what I'm watching right now.
See, now we watched a whole bunch of like the Disney Imagineering, all that whole series. We watched that. What's the collectible one about the Disney collections? I forget. We watched the
prop hunt.
right. We watched
prop fiction.
Prop fiction. Thank you. We watched the Jeff Goldblum series, which is actually pretty good. I highly recommend it if you haven't watched
Muppets
it.
Now.
We've watched Muppets Now because my family's big into Muppets.
We got to the end of it and went, that's it?
Well, I think they left it open-ended for next season.
I kind of feel like, and I say this, with some of your other shows, like Muppets, you can do that in a controlled stage.
Yeah.
Just keep producing.
No, I get it.
Instead of having them, like, produce and then let stop and then produce and then stop.
But again, COVID hit. I'm thinking that's what played a role here.
And I haven't looked in a while on it. Do they have the original Muppet shows on it?
Yeah, they do, actually. Yes.
It has the original Muppets on there?
Yes, yeah, it does. I haven't gone through that yet, but it's there. But if you remember, a couple of years ago, well, it's probably about a decade now, I watched all of them in order. You guys watched with me.
We were doing it in the
Right.
family reunion in Tennessee.
Yep, we watched them all in order, all of them.
That's where you get the chairs idea.
Yep. And yeah, that's so yeah, I've watched quite a bit of content on there. Probably not as much as I think I'd like to. If I had more time, which being a teacher in the middle of this thing is not giving me time. But yeah, I've watched quite a bit. Actually, we started the Right Stuff the TV show,
Just
which I didn't even know was a TV show. I thought it was the movie. We started that last night, so that was another thing we watched.
It's actually been causing me to ask questions about space stuff because I have not been.
It's okay.
History has not taught us space.
So yeah, I mean, I've watched some stuff, but I mean, like, I guess my big question is, if they put Black Widow on there, do they lose money or do they gain money? And I guess that's the next question. Do you guys think they lose money on that deal? With let's say they bump it up to $40 because it's a higher end movie. You're paying actors and actresses. Do you think they lose money if they bump it up to $40 to watch it?
I would bet that 2/3 of the Marvel audience would buy into it, so you would make some money.
Oh no, I think you get about 90% of the Marvel audience.
But you have people who wouldn't want to pay $40 to watch it.
Well, the only reason why I want to pay $40 to watch it is because if it was in the theater, I'd be paying maybe $20.
Right,
total.
I get what you're saying.
You'd be paying for twice that for the ticket and everything.
The ticket and my popcorn.
Right. Right. And the reason I say that is because he's a single guy, right? Like, and that's what I'm talking about, like watch parties, right? Like somebody who's a single person, I can understand where you wouldn't pay $40. My family of 5
paying
$40 is like, yes, because like that's a deal for us.
I was gonna say, wasn't it like
we pay $40 just to walk in the door, and that doesn't include the popcorn and everything else that goes with it.
I was gonna say $40 is just tickets alone.
Right. It's actually a little more than that, but I mean, like,
It's
you see what
probably
I'm saying?
closer to 50.
So for a family, that's a deal. When you're a single person,
it's kind of a ripoff.
Not so much, right?
And especially, I'm already buying their service.
Right.
Why do I need it?
Why would I'm paying $10 a month for it, and then I got paid another $40 on top of that to watch a movie.
And I think that was the turnoff to Mulan that a lot of people started the question. Not necessarily the production, but just the, hey, I'm already paying for your service. Why would I pay $30 more to watch something on your service?
Right. And in my opinion, they should have started out with like Snow White or Cinderella before they went ahead and did.
They did do a Cinderella.
I don't know this.
Back in 2012, they did a Cinderella, I believe.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all that great from what I heard.
But you gotta keep it true to the form. You just can't.
Right.
They did Aladdin, and Aladdin was okay.
But I get what you're saying, Gary. The draw's not there right now for the app.
I never watched Mulan. Mulan never interested me.
Right. See, now I like the cartoon Mulan now. I think my kids kind of beat it into my head, so I really didn't have much of a choice. Around here, Mulan became a thing in my house.
Yeah.
And again, like Bob said, I'm a single guy.
Right.
I'm not going to seek out these things.
Right.
No.
Right. You're right, Gary. If I were a bachelor, and I'm being honest about that, I don't think I'd be seeking Mulan out. It's my kids that turned me on to the cartoon. But then when we found out that the movie is nothing like the cartoon, then I was kind of like, well, like why would I go see that?
I scrolled through like YouTube a couple times and I saw a video about like Mulan review. I'm like, all right, well let's go down the rabbit hole. Well, okay, so the music's gone. It's a live action. I can't really do that. Oh, Mushu's gone. Okay, and it's dark. I'm like, all right, we've gone down that rabbit hole.
Oh, and by the way, Mulan is, like more manly than you would expect.
Yeah, they call her Butch.
Right.
That she's kind of like OP to begin with, and she already knows how to fight, and all of a sudden she's trained to be even.
Well, that's what the whole thing.
That's what the actual story was, though.
Yeah, but she apparently knows already how to sword fight, versus in the movie, the animated one, she didn't.
Again, if you
go to the original story,
right.
The text, that's the way it was. Yes.
Now, in my defense, I would watch this stuff with my mom, who's 80 years old, and she likes this type of stuff. And that's the reason why I did get Disney Plus. It wasn't because of anything else. And we're watching the stuff, and she's even getting tired of the stuff.
So here's where I'm at. I've always kind of wondered this since Mulan came out. Do you think more people would have watched Mulan if Disney had charged more for their app per month and just released Mulan into the app? You get what I'm saying? So I think right now you're paying what, like $18, maybe $20 a month for Disney.
I thought it's closer to 10.
No, actually, it's we got it for 10 because we bought it early.
I looked it up. It's $7.99 per month. That's just by itself.
Is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and my nephew went in on it. He wanted the ESPN,
right? The Hulu
stuff. So we're paying about $25 $20 for the whole package a month.
Right. So I'm pretty sure it's $20 for. You're not paying the bills, dude. Trust me. It's about $20 a month. So and now he's gonna go on the internet to try to prove me wrong.
No, I'm gonna Google for my own knowledge.
So about $20 a month.
Yeah, he's gonna prove you wrong.
So what if they bumped it up? And I'm just proposing this idea. What if they bumped it up to like $35 a month, but put these movies out there on the app, or even $40 a month, and put the movie out there on the app, but didn't charge you for it? Do you think would that be an appeal to you, Gary?
No.
See, don't you think that would turn you off to the app?
It would. I want to get it.
See, that's where I don't know how, and this is where this is a weird business model. How does Disney make the money back on these multi-billion-dollar movies that they've put out there, that they've got a streaming service for, but people wouldn't be willing to pay the money? Do you know what I mean? Like that's I guess that's the problem.
According to Disney's website, it is $6.99 per month, $69.99 annually, and $12.99 with a bundle with ESPN and Hulu Plus.
See, he had proved us wrong.
Yeah,
Not proving you wrong. I was looking it up.
You proved us wrong.
I was putting facts out.
You proved us wrong.
I'm not proving you wrong. I was putting facts out.
You proved us wrong.
Okay, so interesting thoughts about Winter Soldier, about U.S. Agent, and about putting Black Widow on Disney Plus.
Now, I will say this about Disney Plus.
Good.
The Marvel one-offs, or whatever you want to call these TV shows,
Yeah.
was a positive for me to get it.
Right.
And I haven't seen crap yet.
Right. I agree with you, Gary.
Why would they launch an app with the promises of this stuff coming, and you don't have the stuff, you don't have the content made even before COVID even?
See, I think they needed to wait. I'm being honest about that. Yes, you had Mandalorian in the bag, but wait till you've got Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Mandalorian. And this is what Netflix did. Before they launched, they had a year's worth of TV shows, original TV shows, before they went live with their streaming service. Now, I'm not talking about Netflix, because a lot of people don't understand. Netflix was a delivery Blockbuster service first. So a lot of people don't know that. Okay, so when Blockbuster was around, you could go rent a movie. Netflix's draw was you could rent a movie online and have it sent to your house.
Without leaving your home.
Without leaving your home. So instead of having to go out to Blockbuster and go pick the movie I wanted to go see, I could go online, find the movie I wanted, and have them send it to me in the mail, and I could watch it at my convenience.
And technically, you didn't have any late fees either.
Right.
And then didn't they introduce the first online streaming of movies?
They were the first ones to introduce streaming. But again, before they went live with their online service, they made sure this was what actually was the precipice for doing it. They had a full year's worth of original TV shows, a full year's worth already, before they launched. So they could launch and be like, hey, you can watch this movie, that movie. Oh, and here's a new TV show. Check it out. Right? So that was their claim to fame. Now, Hulu did it the other way around, and Hulu failed at first. A lot of people realize that. Hulu launched with, hey, we own Fox, and hey, we own, I forget what else, ESPN, and I think it's ABC. And here's Hulu, and oh, by the way, right now we're just a live streaming service just like your TV. And people were like, well, why would I go pay for Hulu when I can go turn my TV on
and go watch
Fox or ABC or whatever? What's the point behind that?
And you didn't have to wait until the next day.
Right, because with Hulu you did. And so Hulu kind of went, crud. And so what did they do? They did what Netflix did. Oh, we better produce some TV shows. And they literally kind of eked themselves along until they had a year where they finally had a full year's worth of original shows, and then went out and did the same thing Netflix did. And this is where Disney did not learn from the other models. They should have been prepared before they launched. They weren't. They should have waited for Winter Soldier and WandaVision. Now, unfortunately, Gary, this is a valid point. If they would have waited, they might not even be live right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't even have the opportunity to put Black Widow out at all.
Right.
Which means totally would have crushed Disney from beginning to end, top to bottom. I don't know. Maybe they did do the right thing by trying to get it out before. I mean, like, there's no way anybody could know COVID was going to come along. But, I mean, maybe just trying to get the app out was what saved them in the long run. Only time's got to tell, I guess, about that. But these are all valid questions that we can be asking and things we should know down the road.
When they first came out and said that we're going to have our own app and that we're going to have our own TV shows and stuff, they should have had at least 2 full series done, or at least the special effects need to be done.
Right. I agree.
That's what they should have had before they even announced it.
Yeah, I think they were desperate to get an audience to jump onto their platform, so they announced these things to get people to jump onto it before they had a plan. And that's where I think they went wrong. They didn't have a plan. They should have had a plan coming into it. And so I think their plan kind of went, oh crap, we need a plan. That's my take on it.
If you rush it, it shall fail.
Right. No.
Mr. Flanagan.
Everybody's going to disagree with that because what's the one thing they had that's original? What's the one big thing they had that was original? And was it a success?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was the only. It was the only reason I think Disney Plus stayed afloat.
Think about it. It's the only thing people talked about for 3 months. We're
Scout Troopers punching a baby.
We are a complete year later, and what is on all over the internet? Baby Yoda on every meme under the face of the earth.
Yes.
I hate, well, not even Baby Yoda, it's the asset, but whatever. But it's everywhere. Why? Because of The Mandalorian. I mean, had it not been for that show, okay, I don't think we'd be where we are.
Nope.
So, anyway. Interesting things to talk about. I'm excited about Winter Soldier. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Gary, are you excited about Winter Soldier coming out? I mean, do you care much about the Winter Soldier storyline?
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Not really.
No?
No.
Austin, are you, like, is there anything appealing to this? Are you looking forward to it at all?
I'm optimistic because I kind of want to see more of Winter Soldier and Falcon, and I never really understood U.S. Agent, so I kind of want to see how they portray him. I'm curious.
Okay.
I'm curiously optimistic at this point.
The one thing I can say about U.S. Agent is the guy that they got playing him kind of looks
like him. Yeah, I was gonna say I think they picked the right guy. I mean, as far as looks, I think they got the right guy. He's kind of a chiseled. I always call him football jock Captain America because that's what he is. He's a chiseled, square chin football jock. Like Captain America who wouldn't give a crap about anybody else. Quite honestly.
So and that's Captain America and Wolverine merged into one.
Kind of. Well, I mean, like the attitude of Wolverine. Yeah, the I don't give a crap about other people.
Not necessarily the adamantium claws and things.
Right.
But the
mentality of
the James Howlett mentality.
Okay, so that leads us to our next article from Screen Rant. Again, the title is Star Wars: 5 characters who deserve bigger roles and 5 who deserve smaller. So let's talk about this one. So I'm going to start with, I'm assuming they're putting these in orders of the characters who deserve bigger roles here. So we'll start with number 10.
Well, I think it was big.
I think it's like they mixed them in the row.
Yeah.
They mixed them up.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it does say. Okay. So somebody they think should deserve a bigger role. Finn from the second trilogy. Or third trilogy, I guess is the best way to put it. What do you guys think? Should Finn have had a bigger role, a smaller role, or exactly the same role? What do you guys think?
Smaller.
Gary, wow. Gary's coming right out of the gate on this one.
The characters, there's nothing there for me. I didn't care for him right from the get-go.
Yeah. What do you think, Austin?
After what John Bodega has been doing in public eye, I have lost all credit for him and all respect for him as well. For his character, Finn, he could have died in the first film, and it would have been fine. I feel like his character arc would have been more of the soldier who rebelled against his programming, and he died. Great. Sacrifice.
I want to add something else on this, right? If anybody deserves the Skywalker title, it's him. For being a whiny ass.
Like Luke in A New Hope. Okay.
Yeah. And even Anakin to a point.
Right. I get what you're saying. First off, I want to correct something. John Boyega is how you pronounce his name.
Did I pronounce it wrong?
You said Bodega or something like that.
Bodega.
Yeah, you said Bodega, which is
Whatever
the place you go to actually buy things in New York City. But Boyega is how you pronounce his name.
Pardon me.
First off, I want to couch it with this. This has nothing to do with race, skin color, any of that stuff. I have to say that because I don't want people coming down on me, especially people from certain groups. I'm just being clear. I don't think his character was all that important. I blame the story writing for that quite a bit. I think he could have been a cool character. I thought he was kind of a cheap attempt at mixing Han Solo and Luke Skywalker into one.
I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So if you really kind of look at him as a character, that's kind of what he is.
Kind of the.
And here's what I'm saying: if you really want to kind of think that through for just a second, and this really kind of would blow some people's minds, and they get mad at me for saying I don't care. Make him a white dude, and then tell me that he's not Luke and Han mixed into one.
I was gonna say the cockiness of Han and then the heroicness of Luke.
Okay, so
It's
I think that's why everybody jumps to his aid and say we should have had a bigger role because he was African American. No, he should have had better writing if that's what you wanted. So to me, that's what you needed.
And that is a problem with Star Wars characters since Phantom Menace.
Well, I would say even from the beginning of time, I think most characters had poor writing behind them, and I think some characters were fortunate enough to have good actors to make them better, and I think some of them had the unfortunate role of not having good enough actors to make them bigger. So I think it went both ways on that.
I was gonna say something. I kind of felt like it was more of we have these interviews now coming out with Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley and with Finn, because I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name right.
John Boyega.
And he has said that he and Kathleen Kennedy got into arguments about him saying that he felt as his character had no answer. That they basically put him in and had nothing with him. He basically cursed on TV and said, whenever it came to Ridley or Driver, you knew what you were doing. But whenever it came to me, you had no effing plan.
And I got it. That goes back to writing. Right, so they wrote a bad character. All right, let's go on to the next one. The smaller role, Jar Jar Binks. I'm gonna go last on this one because y'all know where I stand on Jar Jar. What do you think, Austin? Jar Jar, bigger or smaller role?
I felt his role was big enough as it is, and the reason why I advocate that he is there, and it's very much the same way of Lucas's explanation is, you have a very dark and gritty story being told about the re-rising of the Sith, wow, my tongue, and
the re-rising of the Sith, okay,
and the Clone Army being built, and this politic war and corruption being played, and the Sith Master getting into the background of things. So you have this dark storyline being played. You need some comedy elements. Jar Jar was there as a bumbling idiot to be a comedy skit. He was essentially your comic foil, and that was really what he was there for. I didn't see it as a bad thing. Maybe some of his lines could have been written differently. Maybe he could have been written a little bit better, but his role size was fine. It was writing that was the issue.
All right, Gary, what do you think?
The last part of what he said is exactly right. Writing, he had a big writing issue because original scripts, from what I've read, whether it's 100% true or not, they should have stuck with the original idea.
What was the original idea for Jar Jar?
He was the Phantom Menace.
And there is a reference in the documentation on this article that talk about the dark Jar Jar theory, which is saying that he's a Dark Lord that worked for Palpatine. Because if you notice, he kind of set up everything for Palpatine to take power.
See, this is where I would have said, go big or go home with Jar Jar, right? Because if you make him the Sith and he is the Phantom Menace, think about it. He played his role brilliantly. He gave Palpatine his powers.
He was not an apprentice to Palpatine. It was the other way around.
No. Right, Palpatine was an apprentice to him.
Yes.
You were saying that he was the next reincarnation of Plagueis.
No.
Okay. Well,
he was the big bad that Palpatine found out about and used him for his own purposes.
Right.
And if he had stayed the Sith that he was supposed to have been, that would have been an awesome reveal.
And you could use the bumbling idiot as a guise to hide what he is really.
Right.
You could get to the middle of episode 3 and he stabs Palpatine in the back.
Right. Now, what planet are they both from?
Naboo.
Exactly. That's how they found each other. Is the dark the darkness rose, and Palpatine.
And that's what I was gonna say, Gary. I would have said I would have made his role bigger, and I would have gone bigger, go home.
I should have.
And I would have made his character the central role to the trilogy prior to the original trilogy.
And Ahmed Best even said the same thing.
Yeah, yes. I want to give it a note to Ahmed Best. I feel bad that people gave him hate mail. I really don't feel it's fair to him. He didn't write the character. He only portrayed it.
And at the same time, when Lucas was going to make these 3 movies, he came out and said, the first one's going to be for the kids, the second one's going to be for the teen boppers, and the third one is supposed to be for the adults.
Yep.
And he backtracked on everything.
He did. Okay, so let's go to the next one, number 8. So someone who should have had a bigger role, Padme Amidala. I'll answer this one first. Hell no! No. Sorry. Matter of fact, I kind of felt like Padme's whole role was a little too big and a little too trumped up. Not to use, so vivacious a word. But I did not like the whole idea of, well, she died giving birth because she loved people so much and she was so much in love. Both. Okay? Matter of fact, I thought Padme's whole role was kind of pointless, other than the fact that she gave birth to Luke and Leia, and we knew that had to happen. Why? Because without her, Luke and Leia don't exist. I didn't like the character at all, all the way through. And I got to be honest, it wasn't writing. To me, it was acting on this one. I'm sorry, maybe the other way on this one. I blame Natalie Portman completely for playing such kind of a wimpy character. She didn't strike me as being a strong woman. When you think Princess Leia, I'm sorry, Carrie Fisher played such a strong role and like hogtied those guys, whipped them around, get this walking carpet out of my way, all that kind of stuff, right? And then you get Padme Amidala, and she's got these outrageous outfits, these crazy off the wall hairstyles, which by the way Carrie Fisher had too, but yet somehow she makes it seem so, I don't even know, like I didn't like the way she played the character.
I have to agree. As I see it, is she's a senator, but she's also not a senator. Mm-hmm. She's less into politics and more into trying to fight battles. She talks with Anakin about how making a government will force people to make decisions is not government that is representational. It is a democracy, a dictatorship, and that's not fair. And I'm sitting here going, so we're bringing the politics in. She was only there to bring politics into the matter. She was only there to bring modern-day politics into Star Wars and cram it together, and it just felt disjointed. And when you compare her to her daughter, who literally saves Han, Luke, and Chewie from a blaster fight in the detention cells, she's very wimpy. Even in the Clone Wars TV series, which is slightly better, I find her slightly more of a better character in the Clone Wars animated series than in the movies. She is a different character, and it's better.
Okay, Gary, what do you think?
I think she should have been more fleshed out, more so than made a bigger role.
Okay.
We know she's the youngest queen elected into the monarchy of the Boo.
Right.
But I never knew a queen could get elected into it.
Right.
So that kind of took away a lot from her. Like you guys are saying, she's trying to be this big baddie that can wield a blaster fire and kick Major A, and she didn't.
Never happened.
It never pulled off. It never got pulled off.
Right.
And I don't know if that's the acting, the writing. I'm going to say more of the direction, because Lucas doesn't direct and just tells him go ahead.
Right.
Half the time for episode 2, they were jumping around in front of a green screen.
Okay, so how about number 7? We got smaller role, Supreme Leader Snoke. Thoughts here?
Fleshed out more.
Okay.
He needed a more ominous presence. I felt like he got cut short.
Yeah.
Because we got to the second movie and he died within like the first half.
If there's like a giant, you got cut short.
Well, and this is again where I don't know how to feel about Snoke, because At first, after the first movie, after The Force Awakens, I would have said, "Whoa, expand this guy. I want to see. I really want to know more about him." And then he dies, and I'm kind of like, by the third film, I was kind of like, "Well, screw it. I don't care anymore. I don't care about Snoke." They could have told me the whole backstory to Snoke in movie 3. I wouldn't have cared. That when you killed him the way you killed him, I was kind of like, it was amazing. All right, I'm sorry. That death was the same death. Maybe that was payback, okay, for the Kit Fisto, Cicey Tin, who else was in that group that died trying to take on Palpatine, right, in the office, okay, because that was the crappiest death of 3 Jedis who were supposed to be Jedi Masters that were supposed to be amazing. And it was like the crappiest death of all 3 of them. And so, I kind of feel like, if there was vindication for that 3 awful death moment, it was destroying Snoke the way that we destroyed Snoke. Which, again, was in one of the worst fight scenes I've seen in a movie in a long time. Not only was the Praetorian Guard, kind of stupid, honestly, there were massive errors in the fight scenes. And they're still finding massive errors in the fight scenes. Just in the way they were filmed and the things you see. That should never happen in a film. One of the worst action scenes ever. And unfortunately, Snoke's in the middle of that. Do I think they needed to make his role bigger? I don't know. I don't know what you do with Snoke, because it was such I don't know. And just a disappointment.
Well, they dropped the ball on him, because they should have came out and said he was Plagueis.
Right, I agree with you.
But then they get to the third film, and they basically say he's the same as the Emperor, Vader, and Snoke are all the same person. They're all the Emperor, because we have this body cloning chamber thing.
I don't know if they really said that, though.
You had Snoke's face, you had Vader's face, you had Emperor's face, and he says, "I have been every face that you have ever seen as a master." Or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly the line.
I think we need to watch that movie again, because I don't think he said that.
I don't think he said it about Vader, but the problem I got is Rian Johnson just took everything that Abrams had set up. Well, I don't like it. I'm gonna make mine.
Yeah, he did kind of just poop all over it, really.
And that's why he killed Snoke off as quickly as he did.
Yeah.
Because everybody was thinking he's Plagueis and everything else, and that's probably what Abrams was leading up to. And he got killed off so quickly that they had to scramble what to do for the third movie.
Okay. How about number 6? Bigger Captain Phasma. Should they have made Captain Phasma bigger?
Maybe more mysterious and less. I would advocate that her story was big enough that she didn't need anything else. That she was the Boba Fett. She was mysterious in her own right.
She wasn't a Boba Fett to me. She started out to be an awesome character when we first saw stills of her and stuff. And then it was like, she did nothing. And it's not a bigger role when it made any difference for her. Again, it's poor writing.
I think a lot of people wanted her desperately to be the next Boba Fett that had this mysterious background, right? I think a lot of people wanted it to be a big deal that it was a woman under the helmet. I didn't see it as a big deal.
No.
And that's not me trying to be anti-feminist, but just more of why did it need to be a big deal? I guess I didn't understand. I must have missed something along the way on that one. And I just don't know, and I agree with you, Gary. I don't know if giving her a bigger role would have made it better. I'm not even sure if better writing would have made it better, just because of the stupid things they had her do. Things like, she gave in really quick and gave them the codes to get into the Starkiller base,
and then gets thrown in a trash compactor.
Right, it's just, I don't know, they wanted to treat her like Boba Fett, but then they didn't know what the heck to do with that, or how to do that, I guess, and it was just really bad treatment of what could have been amazing character.
She should have been more like a Tarkin type of character.
Yeah.
As far as she wasn't scared of Ren, Tarkin wasn't afraid of Vader.
Right.
That would have made it a lot better for that character.
Okay.
And then have her do some serious A-kicking and not give up the plans or the codes for the circular base.
Okay, so let's move on to number 5. Smaller role, Watto. What do you guys think?
Nah, I think it's okay right where it was.
Yeah, he had his place. It was kind of like to be the junk dealer.
I mean, I guess I worry that if you make his role smaller, then Anakin's role is smaller, and then Darth Vader's role is smaller. So
Yeah, you had to
you kind of needed to have Watto there in order to make Anakin be a slave, in order to have him become out of being a slave to understand what that all is.
You kind of needed him to be there in order to create such a dark pit inside of him. If not, then he would never have become Vader.
Well, it just shows that this is the reason why Anakin became Vader.
Right.
Because he was a slave.
Correct. And he was angered as a kid. All right, number 4, bigger role, Qui-Gon Jinn. What do you guys think?
I think he should have made it to at least the Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I also maybe would want to have seen more fight choreography out of him. Qui-Gon felt very stiff in his fighting. He felt very like following the same line of attack.
I agree with both of you guys, but not for the same reasons. I think because he was so wise and so sage, I really wanted to see him start Anakin's training. I really did. And that's the part I was kind of disappointed in. I mean, yes, Obi-Wan took over Anakin's training, but I wanted Qui-Gon to start it and then Obi-Wan took over. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Because Qui-Gon was very much the will of the Force shall guide me.
Correct.
And Obi-Wan tried to do that, but it wasn't
right.
The same.
But to me, what would have given Anakin that like defiance mode would have been to learn from Qui-Gon. Because Qui-Gon was very defiant against the Jedi Order, quite honestly.
Yep.
And I think if you want to put the defiance into Darth Vader, Qui-Gon should have been the one kind of teaching Anakin that, and he never did.
So if he makes it past Episode 1, then where does he die? Do you say he dies in the battlefield?
Not on Geonosis. I think that's too far into.
Do you maybe think that him and Obi-Wan go to investigate chasing down Jango Fett, and then Dooku stabs him in the back as a apprentice to master thing? I must cut out my bad. And
I think if you would have killed him off early on with Dooku, towards the beginning of Episode 2,
where the Obi-Wan part where Obi-Wan's been suspended.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes. You have him in suspense there, and then Dooku just stabs him right through.
Right. And then just walks out like a badass, and you can see Dooku slowly shift away from being Jedi style.
And that would have angered Anakin enough so that the scene where where he goes and kills all of the Sand People would have made so much more sense, because he's still enraged at the idea that the guy that started to teach him died. And now he's stuck with his crappy Obi-Wan Kenobi as his master.
I was going to say, that could be something that's added into...
See, we should have been rating these films.
Into the hologram message that Obi-Wan sends saying, Master Qui-Gon has fallen.
We'll have Qui-Gon fallen and Shmi fallen. That made his anger
that much more. Right, exactly.
And boil over to the surface to the point where he loses his temper.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, number 3, smaller role, General Hux.
I was going to say this when we were talking about Phasma, so I will use it now. If you took Hux out and put Phasma in and used her as a Tarkin role, and that Kylo Ren would threaten him, Phasma, and Phasma would just stare at him, do you feel that would have been a great way to take Hux out of the story entirely, because he's kind of just being, and I say this with a little more, a Nazi general. We shall end the Great Republic. And if you put Phasma in, I feel like the story would have been a little better. Maybe not perfect.
No, you needed Hux to do that speech. I can't have anybody else do that speech.
Agree.
I just, personally, I don't think Hux was that big of a deal.
No.
I mean,
I would have, if he died on Starkiller Base and Phasma took up his role in the second film.
I think that was their desperate attempt to redo Tarkin.
Yes.
And that was an absolute failure.
Not even close. And Tarkin was only pulled off because it was Cushing that did it. Nobody else could have pulled that role off. And I'm sorry, they tried. I give the actor credit, but no. Sorry, nobody can do what Cushing does.
By the time he
was not Tarkin.
By the time he got to that third set, they had another person who was almost looking like Tarkin.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, number 2, bigger role, Rose Tico.
I don't get the character. I'm sorry.
See, now this is where I really do disagree with some people. I think the only reason that she's been given as much prudence as she has is because of feminism. And I'm sorry, it's just the truth. I hate to bring politics into this, but it's kind of the truth. I really don't think the character played that big of a role. I mean, think about what her initial role was. Her initial role was to keep people from jettisoning from the big ship
and being a mechanic
and escaping. And she was a mechanic. She happened to run into Finn, which made her famous within the Resistance. And then, what? What was her role from that point forward?
Well, she saved Finn and basically gave this long-winded speech about how it's not what we fight for, it's how we choose to fight for it. And I
thought that was like one of the craptastic scenes of that movie. And actually, that scene, I think, is one of the scenes, to me, that made that movie awful. And I can actually say that now, as I've watched the movie several times, and my viewpoints in the movie have changed over a long period of time. I didn't like that. You know what that tells me, what they did there? Every hero's sacrifice was total crap.
It's pointless.
That's what they're telling you in that scene. Every hero's sacrifice, in other words, when somebody sacrificed their life to save other people, okay, so I think all the way back to Star Trek, right? Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. That's the ultimate heroic sacrifice. Rose Tico comes in and says, nope, because you can't love others. If you're dead, you can't love. So what good is being dead then? And I'm kind of like, it's the reason you sacrifice, because you love, right? So to me, it takes the hero's sacrifice and it just totally poops all over it and destroys it. That's my viewpoint.
As I saw, it's a way of the feminist agenda being able to take the male role of saving others and putting it in Rose Tico's hands and saying, she saved Finn, therefore she's important.
Great, but then build a quality female, strong female character that we can all say, yeah, okay, females can do it too.
And this is not a dig at the actress.
No, this is I'm looking that. Strictly. This has nothing to do with actresses and actors. I'm looking strictly at the character, the character's role.
I'm looking at straight at writing.
Well, yet again, I think that you're right, Gary. Writing played a role in this. I mean, it really did.
And then they'll make mention that in the entire third movie, there was this hint between her and Finn about something that they needed to talk about. We never got the answer on that. And I kind of sit here and go, and your point? There's nothing they needed to talk about. If there was something important, it would have been brought up. But there wasn't. So it dies.
All right, our last one. Number 1. Smaller role. BB-8.
You want to go last on this one, or you want to go first?
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I want to explain this in a way that people can totally understand why I kind of have this mini love for BB-8. The first 6 Star Wars films were from the point of view of who?
R2-D2.
R2-D2 and C-3PO. Both.
I was going to say.
Okay? We get into these last 3 films, and I thought about this for a long time. Really, these last 3 films are told from whose point of view?
BB-8's.
BB-8's point of view.
Because 3PO doesn't really have all that monster involvement. He's
correct.
More in the
and
Resistance.
R2 really isn't
powered out.
Right. So BB-8 is your storyteller. So when people say, well, I want to make him a smaller role, really? Because then you don't get Star Wars at all.
I was going to say.
Because Star Wars has always been told from the droid's point of view. If you've never understood that, then hand me your nerd card and walk away, because you don't get Star Wars at all. The whole point of BB-8 was they needed to replace R2 and C-3PO. They wanted to, at some point, decommission these droids. Thank goodness they should. Why not update them? So to me, BB-8 is perfect the way he is. Personally, he could have been a little bigger. Because, again, he's supposed to be the central droid in the whole thing. He's the storyteller. Now, here's what I'll tell you. In Force Awakens, they did a great job. I thought he was part of the story all the way through.
By the time we get to Last Jedi, and
we get to Last Jedi. Well, we get to the Last Jedi, which is the second one. What happened?
BB-8 was with
BB-8 was almost not there.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the very end that they threw him on the robot with the legs and had him.
He basically took over an AT-ST.
But that he didn't play any sort of a role. Then we get to the last film, The Rise of Skywalker, and he plays somewhat of a role. Like at the beginning, I had hope because he was around while they were on the desert planet. But then when they went off in all different directions, what happened to BB-8? He's stuck at the Resistance base. So again, to me, that's why I see BB-8 where I see BB-8. Okay, so your guys' thoughts. That's my thought because I love BB-8.
I feel that his role was in the first film fine. Second and third film, it needed to be a bit more. I would have liked it that as Ray leaves, BB-8 follows no matter what the heck you want. BB-8 is like, I'm coming along. I don't care. I'm here for the story. I'm here to be part of this. And even then, in like when you go to Clone Wars episodes and Star Wars as a whole, the droids are always the ones that have character.
Okay.
Outside of the actors, the droids still have character.
Right, Gary, your thoughts?
This is my opinion.
I'm not gonna rail on your opinions, guy.
You guys can like it or like it, hate it, whatever. For me, the story's always been through R2's eyes.
Yeah.
The last 3 movies should still have been through R2's eyes.
Okay.
Now, if you want to decommission R2, I don't have a problem with that at all. You want this new BB-8 to be the new storyteller or whatever? Fine. But it needs to have the full story.
Right.
So, R2 gets damaged, BB-8 gets damaged. So they have to take the memory core from R2 and put it in BB-8. I'm fine with it.
I could have gone for that. I could have gone for
that. Like after they go and find Master Luke, R2 suddenly shorts out.
If they're able to take L2SO's brain and put it in the Falcon, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they do that with R2 and put his brain in
BB-8?
Hey, maybe Babu Frick can do that later. I don't know.
Hey,
what do you know?
The only movies that have not been through R2's eyes have been Rogue One and
Solo. Yeah. Yep. That's true. That's very true. Okay, so those were our thoughts on Falcon and Winter Soldier, Black Widow going on Disney Plus because we added that one in, and the 5 characters, 10 characters who deserve bigger and smaller roles in Star Wars. Those are our thoughts. We're going to be back in just a moment. Ready for this one, folks, to review the first episode of the CW show Stargirl. That's right. We're going to talk about Stargirl on this show. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, anybody else need a potty break? Because I do.
If I think about it long enough, I will.
He'll be up there. He says, I'll be up there in a moment, essentially.
Pretty much.
All right, video, folks.
That's
I'm
what
going to
I
let you roll.
You can watch Gary scroll through Facebook.
Yep. It's okay. Do you need somebody to get to the gate for you? No. Well, Facebook or video land, you get to watch me do my thing. So, discussions have been abound for my video, folks. And we're talking about how we're going to get Hondo and or Ned on this show. That's right, you heard me correctly. Hondo and Ned eventually are going to be on the GalaxyCast. It's going to happen. We're going to make it happen. And I got some plans for this coming year. COVID aside, we're going to try to find some cool people to interview that I think you're all going to want to talk to and hear from. So I watched Hocus Pocus almost a week ago now. And I know there are people out there that love Hocus Pocus, but I don't get it. So if you did love that movie, I'd love to hear your thoughts because I don't get it. I don't understand why it's such a cult classic, I guess.
Just scared Ruth.
Why'd she come home?
Yeah. I was coming out of the bathroom when she was walking around the corner to her room.
I've done that and I live here, so that's okay.
And she goes, well, I scare her easily anyway. I go, well, if I came walking around the corner or something, you come walking around the bathroom, I'd be scared.
Can't be scared too. I'm scared.
Buying cars, are you? Ooh, police cars.
Yeah, they're auctions, seized, repos. I'm just seeing what they got. They had a genie lift in here.
Who?
A genie lift.
Like JLG? Maybe?
What's that?
Scissor lift?
Yeah, like a scissor lift, kind of like that, yeah. Ooh, Jeep. How much they want for that?
It's an auction, man.
Yeah, I know, but I'm wondering what the starting bid is. You know they don't go cheap.
See where Joe had to pay $200 for his battery?
Yeah, for his car? Ouch.
His Jeep. Well, it's $150 for a truck.
Yeah, we haven't had to replace Heather's yet. I'm worried.
It's $150 probably.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Maybe more.
I almost lost my crap when I paid $100 for my car battery. I was like, are you kidding me? I remember when you could buy a battery for $20 for your car.
I paid 75 and change for my battery of my car. It's not even a full size battery.
Yeah.
You can bring mine. What do I say?
Yeah, it was get me a Brian, not a brain.
Oh.
You spelled it wrong.
Oh, that goes to show my vision. I see what they're talking about.
I'll just have to walk the dog quick so we don't
That's
lose
right. I've been playing this word scramble game with word blitz game with a couple friends,
Yeah,
and they're kicking my ass. And
hate it when that happens.
I mean, they're kicking my ass big time. I suck at making words. And I got one where I scored 600 points once. I said, "Wow, you did 47% better this time." So, yeah, that makes me feel good. There, dude.
Did you read that one?
I'm reading now.
Right?
This shit when you start.
I've always said my biggest fear is if I get on the surgery table. That's one of my. Depending on the student, I might be like, I'm good. Let the cancer take me or whatever it is I got.
Pretty good gene in Gabrielle.
Holy cow! If I hadn't known any better, I would have thought that was the original.
Someone's telling me that they might be porn stars.
Probably looks like it. Wow, that's pretty extreme. I mean, in my dream world, but it would be Star Wars based, not Star Trek based.
Yep. They were. Imagine that.
Were they?
Yeah. Now the blonde looks like one, but the brunette doesn't really, in my opinion.
Like I said, yeah.
So, dude, your perv senses were tingling just like mine were, bud. He goes, last I knew my perv senses were tingling because I was thinking this looked like a triple X berry. It is. Well, that makes sense now. Yeah, I'd vote for him.
Sadly, that might be the best choice now. Dude, where is this? Oh, Wisconsin. Dang it.
Okay.
I'd be all over this.
You can go see Corey.
Disturbed, Stained, and Limp Bizkit and Snoop Dogg all in one place with corn?
Queen Shrike and Sliders. And...
Good lord. Oh, Anthrax is there too.
Yep. But no Steely Dan, so he can't take Austin.
You're right. No, you can't take Austin.
What if I told you the version of history you were taught in school was heavily revised to favor your own nation's agenda law, hiding its crimes, and doing so fostering an unrealistic sense of false patriotism used to manufacture your allegiance to a corporate entity masquerading as the drug government? What would you say?
I would say you've been blindsided by every lib that's ever existed.
Yep.
Wait, it's a meeting room. Why would you? Okay. If only one person's in there, why bother having a meeting room?
That one's pretty good.
She's heard of the orc specialists. She's seen them. She likes them. Okay, yeah, no.
No.
This one's awesome.
Truth. Truth, truth. Yeah, there's Joe's post.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, Charlie Kirk hits on this a lot, and I agree with him. A lot of people do not understand this.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic.
Yep.
And people need to educate themselves.
Want a sheet custom?
Okay. Crock of sheet. Okay, that's funny.
Real bad. Last seen leaving for rendezvous with a suspicious Iowan astronaut. Truck found abandoned in Golden Gate Park, San Francisco, California. If you have information, please contact 555 Both Whales. Help us, please.
No, thank you. We don't need any more prequels, sequels, Skywalkers, or Palpatines. How about a bounty hunter? Mandalorian! Okay, I'm sharing that one because that one's too good.
Now, have you shown this movie to Austin yet?
He knows of it. I don't know if he's watched it.
Watch what?
Rocky Horror.
No.
How do you share this now? The deuce. Did he not make it shareable?
Nope. So what you need to do is save the picture and then share.
Wait. I was going to say go to the three dots above. So go exit. The three dots over here by the name. Save post. No, okay, doesn't work.
That was me. Mr.
Go to the picture and save it.
I know everything. Yep.
Well, I was going for what I knew.
Of course, it's not saved. Why is it not saved?
There it is.
Just gain the orient so you know what. Okay. And then you go down to the picture there, bring it up, and then
Just post it.
you should be able to share it. I think. Post on your Facebook page, whatever.
Make a new post. There you go.
Just a question for you. There's a it says it's a model train show and collectible car show.
Yeah.
Toy car show. The Merchant Square Mall in Allentown. On May 11th, 7th. Interested in going?
I don't know.
Just,
Train show? I mean, you know what I mean?
well, it's a model train and slot car show is what they're saying. But there's die-cast models and other stuff that's going to be there. And when I click on the pictures and see what else is going to be there, they show it's toys and stuff. So it's going to be everything, maybe.
Where would I find the information for this?
It's the Lehigh Valley slot and toy car show.
Right, just search that on Facebook?
Yeah, you could probably do that, bro. It comes up on mine from Valley Rail Trails and Hobbies.
That one right there?
Yeah, just click on it, see what comes up.
ValleyGoTo.com?
Yeah.
That's the one?
Yep, ValleyGoTo.com.
Oh, action figure and comic book shop.
But see the different pictures that's coming up and all that?
Oh, yeah.
It's something to get out of town type of thing. You know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But like I said, it's completely up to you if you want to.
Yeah, let me think about it. Talk it over with Heather.
So, worst thing comes, we get out of town for a couple hours.
Yeah, right? I think we both need that right now.
But
I am dying without my Comic Cons. This is like killing me. I mean, it is like killing me. Yes, Legos.
Legos.
The wrestling shop down there is
Merchant Square Mall. Oh, the wrestling shop's gone?
Yeah. So I don't know what else is there anymore, but it's down where Allentown Comic Con used to be. So.
I was gonna say this must be right where Allentown used to be. Huh. You said it's the slot and toy car show. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It hasn't been canceled yet, so it's just an idea.
Right, yeah, I get what you're saying. Diecast, Hot Wheels, Matchbox. Racing memorabilia.
So I don't know what's all going to be there, but just, like I said, something to get us out of Dodge. It's only $10 to get in. So.
I was gonna say how much is to get in.
Go down.
Here we go. Intermission at 10 a.m. $5 convenient.
Early buyer, single back door, 10.
Yeah. That's if you get there, get in early, you get like $5-10.
Yeah, dude, I'm game.
Like I said, just an idea, and then if it gets worse, then COVID gets worse or whatever, then they have at least stay home type thing.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
VR hobbies, huh?
and it's a big flea market type thing there too. So
yeah, I know. We had fun just walking around the flea market part. That part alone would be,
Hey, look, Bishop.
For me, that would be enough to want to go and see some stuff.
Like I said, we wear a mask or whatever,
Yeah. Social distance, do our thing.
I don't know how they're going to do the social distancing thing, but if you wear your mask indoors, you're all right.
Well, we're off air. I'll tell you my thoughts on all that. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Alright. I can look at this later.
Put my head back in. I'm ready to run.
Guess let me get my ears back on too. I brought up the IMDb just so we have it for the show. Poor Videoland's been stuck with us this whole time.
Sorry.
Sucks to be you. You know what? Go listen to the free podcast. We don't like to be seen, only heard. That's right.
That's because Austin has a face for...
I'm like the opposite of Steven Crowder. I don't want to be seen. I'd rather just be heard. Okay.
Did you hear that? Austin has a face for radio.
Yeah, he keeps breaking the camera for those that don't know.
No,
let's see.
No, the camera is cursed from Eric.
Oh, yeah, there we go. There, the
The
camera's
camera
still
is
working.
cursed
It's
from
amazing.
Eric.
It's still working.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. Hey, folks, welcome back to this episode of the GalaxyCast as we review Season 1, Episode 1 of Stargirl, titled, ready for this? Pilot.
Such an original name.
Right? Such an original name for the first show of the show.
I didn't see any piloting though.
Well, yeah, I know. That's a little disappointing. There wasn't a lot of piloting going on. I'm sorry.
I'm confused now.
You know, that's what I get to do. Is like whenever I have first show, I just title the one pilot and just say pilot for my dad. No, I'm going for Gary.
Let me start off by saying this.
No.
First off, go ahead.
Your TV show for episode number 3 has to be 3.
Yes.
Just 3.
That's 3. That's the title. And then episode 4 is got to be 4. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you got to watch Holy Moly, and you'll totally understand that. Okay, so we watched the very first episode of Stargirl, which came out actually last spring, sometime in the middle of COVID. I don't even remember when. It was funny because we were watching the show, and Gary all of a sudden had texted me one night. He's like, "Are you watching Stargirl? Just curious." And I'm like, "Yeah, love it." He goes, "Oh, cool. So I'm not the only one." I'm like, no, like, I think he was worried, like he was watching the show, and we're like the only one was like, "This is amazing." Like we were totally enthralled in the show.
I'm sorry. This is very stereotypical of CW. They grab a DC property and they start running with it, and it's
sometimes
the
it's not
Midas
good.
touch.
Right?
There are some that are not good, but the Midas touch came.
They seem to be pretty good with DC shows. One thing I will say about the draw for me in for this show was that they are not only like modernizing DC a little bit here, which is good, and I'm okay with that. But they're also paying homage to the original JSA in their process of creating the new JSA, which I really appreciate the writers who apparently, I think, in this show truly understand DC comic lore and what it means to those of us, and I say that for Gary and I especially, who grew up with the original Justice Society of America. And I gotta be honest, I still get them confused. Justice Society of America versus the JLA, Justice League of America.
How old do you think I am, Bob?
Well, come on. I'm talking about the Silver Age going into...
Yeah,
that's what I'm
Age,
talking about, Silver
this
Age.
Is the Golden Age.
No, I get that. No, I'm not talking about all the way back, okay? I'm not talking about the 1950s. I get what you're saying. No.
No, Austin said I was old.
Sorry,
well,
he said you liked the music.
Because early... Okay, so to explain that, because people weren't in the room with us, we were listening to the show, and some 50s music came on, and I had said to Gary he was going to appreciate the music. And Austin's like, "Oh, so it's like music from when you grew up." I'm like, I just kind of looked at my son. He's like, "What?" And I'm like, that's your grandparents' generation."
I'm like, "What?"
He's like, "Well, I thought that was Gary." I'm like, "No, Gary's like my brother's age, only like 5 years older than me."
I knew he was older than you. I didn't know by how much.
Well, how old do you think Gary is? Tread lightly. How old do you think Gary is?
49.
You got it right in the head.
You hit it right in the head. He's 49. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But he probably knew your age and he had
He probably, yes, he did.
No, and actually, I don't remember what your age is. I know you're over 40.
I was born in 76.
Trombone.
I was going to say 44?
Yes.
Hey.
So that would make Gary 49. Yes. So, so I actually appreciated the beginning of this particular episode. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly suggest go get the CW app. It's free. You can watch the show for free. So go watch Stargirl, the first episode, before listening to what we're about to say. I really appreciated the homage to the original JSA. I really appreciated I mean, they showed some great characters and not the typical, like you would expect to see the Flash, right? You would expect to see Green Lantern.
You expect to see Fate, which we don't see.
Which I was a little upset with, but I'm kind of like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I can live with it. I wanted to see Fate. I was hoping we'd see Fate. But you see Starman, you see Hourman, we see Wildcat.
Who's the wizard? We see Professor Midnight, but there's another one.
Professor Midnight, yeah.
There's the wizard. Or no, it's Dr. Midnight, sorry, not Dr.
Dr. Midnight.
There's the wizard who's battling the other magical dude. I don't know.
That's Starman.
No, I thought it was somebody else because he was using white. I don't know.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I thought he was the violin player.
Oh. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I don't know who that is. And then we see some typical bad guys too. The Mentalist.
Icicle.
Icicle and some others, and it was a great homage. And it was really weird seeing. Well, first off, I'm glad they showed Starman. We didn't jump right into Stargirl, which I was concerned we were just going to do. And it's kind of hard to have Stargirl without Starman, so they really did set that up well. And I was even more appreciative of the fact that they used Joel McHale, of all people, to play Starman. Now, I was worried when they casted Joel McHale, and I go, oh, great, Starman's going to be this, like, like funny.
No, but
he actually played it well, and I was like, wow, Joel McHale's really got some acting chops in him, and it's possible for him to do something seriously and to take it serious. So I appreciated that.
Were you fearing he was going to take a Chris Pratt approach?
Yeah, I kind of was. I was
like
worried
Star-Lord.
that we were going to have like a Star-Lord, mix of Star-Lord and Starman, and be like, no, that's not how Starman worked. So I appreciated that, and I thought they did a great job setting up the entire first half of the show. Then I worried about, okay, so how are they going to move it from Starman to Stargirl? How are they going to play that role out?
And
then we get that 10 years later thing, and using Luke Wilson as Stripe, I thought was a really good, again, a kind of a great key to unlock moving forward. I thought that was a really great way to do it.
Having Stripe live on, even though the JSA all died.
Yeah, so he's trying to carry it on. Although there was a comic relief moment.
Yeah.
And that was McHale saying, somebody's got to carry on the mantle, not you. Anyone but you.
Well,
just make sure it's not you.
Stripe says, I'll try. He says, not you.
Which is a typical Joel McHale kind of thing to do. And I just thought he did a great job with that. And I'm kind of glad that they gave him a little bit, like that little bit of leeway to have a little humor in there. Just enough, but not too much.
Just enough to make a laugh and get a general laugh at all three of us.
So Luke Wilson really kind of carries on this mantle. And the whole rest of the episode's more about, like, how does he move forward, having been part of the JSA and knowing all these things he knows, having the it's not called the stick, because that's what she keeps calling it. What's it officially called?
Cosmic Staff.
Thank you, the Cosmic Staff. Having the Cosmic Staff, but realizing that this really isn't something he's supposed to wield, but he needs to carry it forward for whoever is going to take up the mantle later on. So to fast forward 10 years, we get to him and Barbara Whitmore being married, and him having a girl who's not his daughter, which is, awkward. A lot of people... And I thought this was a great segue, too, because, for families who are mixed, and I'm saying, like, they, like the Brady Bunch style thing where you've got some kids from one and some kids from another, and, that was what was original about Brady Bunch back in the 70s, the fact that we're going to openly talk about families that have to come together and figure out how to, and so here I kind of feel like you're doing that inside of a comic book TV show, which was great. I'm loving that.
We see the two separate families and how they interact with their friends and family their own, and then the kind of joining towards the middle where we see them moving into the new house and setting up the rooms. And
so then we kind of get a feel for the Stargirl character, who's played by Courtney Whitmore.
No, Courtney
Whitmore's her name, sorry. Played by Brett Basinger.
How's it feel? Because you made fun of me for the Scott Lang thing.
Whatever. So I really, apparently she's been on other roles too. I didn't know that. I thought she did a great job playing the fumbly bumbly teenager who's not really fully fumbly bumbly, if that really kind of makes sense. She's not popular.
Wait. She was in the DC Legends Tomorrow. Scroll back up. Yeah, right there.
Yes, as Stargirl.
Oh.
In 2020. Okay, so
I am not.
right. I thought she did the teenagery role well. Now Gary pointed out she's 22.
It's 21.
21, excuse me.
Cool.
And she's playing the role of a teenager, so she's really, it's kind of weird. I've talked about this before, and I don't know if I talked about it on this show, but I've talked about it with other people. I always find it odd that we never pick teenagers to play teenage roles. For whatever reason, we always pick young adults to play teenage roles.
Well, there's probably way too much labor laws and paperwork.
Not really, because we pick teenagers to play young adult roles. So go ahead, explain that one. I've never been able to figure that one out from my knowledge. I don't get it.
Maybe if they're under the age of 16, I feel like there's labor restrictions.
It's actually under the age of 14.
Under the age of
In
14,
Hollywood,
okay.
There's labor restrictions.
Well, that answers my question.
But from 14 to 18, you've got a pretty big swath of time there. You could find a teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Puberty. That could be a snafu.
Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, I liked her role. I liked the way she played this role. I think she fit well into this role, especially, starting out as the role of Stargirl. And so she and her brother, they're moving into a new house, new home, new town, all that kind of stuff. Do we ever figure out why they're moving into this town? They never really say that.
Mom got a job. Right? Mom got a job in town.
Is that all we know at this point?
That she got a higher up job in town.
Okay.
And they both decided that moving out there would be better than living in California.
Right.
For reasons.
We also kind of discovered that, there's some boxes of things that have some awkward stuff in it. The moving men are having a hard time moving a box, which we all kind of figure out very quickly that it's the cosmic staff. Now, it's funny because I've watched this show now. I think this would be my third time watching through this particular episode. And Austin caught something I haven't even caught the other two times, which is the moving company
has the Action Comics
logo on it.
It says
in their
Action
fonts.
Moving.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
So, like I said, there's little Easter eggs that if you really kind of pay attention, you can pick up on them real quick and find them throughout the episode,
Throughout the whole episode, she's wearing, if you notice, she's wearing blue sweatshirt, white shirt with red, and she's wearing red and white sneakers.
So she's got the red, white, and blue going on. I did pick up on that the second time I watched it, that they kind of keep hinting at the color scheme for her throughout the first episode. So she, like any teenager, she gets upset with her father. The son's kind of a typical boy. I don't even know how to explain it. I've been there, nerd, if you want to call it that. But he does stupid things too, which every boy does, like, putting marshmallows on microwave and blowing them up because why not? Because that's cool. Right?
I've never done that, and I never wanted to. I don't understand.
Oh, where's your sense of adventure?
I think Mom would kill me if I did that.
Okay, do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
no.
I'm sure Mom would love it.
No. No.
Do it. So, that was just my evil voice kicking on. Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Do it.
Yes, do it. So
Sorry.
I said that's okay. So she gets angry. She goes downstairs to get away from Dad. I loved the interaction you two guys have sometimes is hysterical. Because, like, Austin's like, why wouldn't he just go to his room? And Carrie's like, why wouldn't she go to her room? And Carrie's like, well, if you don't want people to find you, you don't go to your room. And Austin's like, oh,
good point.
Yeah, good point. Like, dude.
And Gary's over there looking like Dave Filoni going,
right? So, and apparently my son's never not wanted to be found, so I've never had that worry. So she goes to the basement where these weird boxes are, and she tripped, I think, and fell into the one box.
No, she kicked it because she was frustrated.
Okay.
She kicked it.
And then she broke the frame, and that's where she found the picture of the old JSA. Which, by the way, I thought was interesting. There were more characters in that picture than we saw in the opening scene.
And we don't even get
significantly more.
We don't really get a good look at the Flash's face. If you notice, we always get the lightning bolt or his shoulder. We never see his face.
Nope.
There
you go. There's a good answer. And the Green Lantern, she flashes the picture on that corner, and you can see he's there, but you're not quite sure.
Yeah.
We never saw Hawkman officially.
And Hawkgirl.
He was and Hawkgirl. They were both in the picture, but they weren't seen in that opening scene. And the one for me that I was killing me was Dr. Fate was never seen.
I was gonna say,
even though he's in the picture.
He's in the picture, and he's in the background too, isn't he? Kind of like cross-armed towards like.
No, he's right there in the picture. We never saw him in the opening scene. So he's one of my more favorite DC characters for those that don't know, and I'll reveal why later because that stuff's coming. You'll all see why. Trust me. And if you know all what I do as a hobby on the side, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, a little hint on what's coming. And so, yeah, you better. So, I like that scene. I love that. I thought that was awesome that she gets a chance to see the JSA. And then, of course, the cosmic staff lights up and basically tells her, hey, I'm here. And I thought it was kind of interesting that Joel McHale's character, Starman, told him, hey, the staff will find somebody for you, basically. And it glows, and she grabs hold of the staff, and it takes her up, and away. Yeah, just kind of, pole dancing, if that's what you want to call it.
Well, Gary. She does, like, gymnastic stuff, then she does the pole dancing.
Well, she does. Yes, she does. Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And so I thought I think it's interesting, too. One thing I like about what they've done with the show is the staff has its own character.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it before, but it like giggles, right? It makes little sounds. You know what it reminds me of a lot?
R2 warbles.
No. Doctor Strange's cloak.
Oh.
Because it's got like the same, it's an inanimate object that somehow has some personality.
Like right out of a Strange movie, he tries to run away and the cape just
stops.
Right.
But the thing is, at the same time, it has a voice to it.
You need to hear a bit of warbles and such. So.
Unlike Strange's cape that doesn't have any voices to it, which you're right, Gary. This particular that's me. This particular thing has voices to it, which is kind of cool. So you're right. It's kind of like a mixture of R2 and Strange's cape.
But there's actual voices and stuff coming from it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Not just warbles.
Oh, they're not
just but like actual voices and stuff.
I wasn't paying attention enough to hear anything.
And she can talk to it. Did you catch that? Like,
she argues.
She's having full-on conversations with it.
Right.
So it's obviously like an alien. Well, and that's the thing. Like you find out later that it is an alien staff that came from somewhere else. That she's able to. Right. She's able to have conversations with and talk to, but only the beholders that can understand it are able to wield it. Kind of like Thor's hammer in a way.
Yeah.
So she goes out and she does all sorts of crazy things with it.
She ends up at the drive-in.
She ends up at the drive-in. And she tries to take care of some bullies. And I think she had all the right, her heart was in the right place.
She pulls out a mask pre-COVID.
And I think she just kind of, like, the staff went a little too far. There's no way I can explain it.
They got into a fight and they just think
the staff got
defending her.
Yeah, I think it was defending her for sure. And
now, here's a question for you. What movie were they watching?
No, I know, but
Gary said it was Goonies, but I'm not 100% sold if that was it.
Yeah, it was Goonies in the background.
Goonies? Okay.
Yeah, they were in the cave scene, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah.
One was dressed up in like a white dress, so that's why I was confused.
Well, we gotta watch Goonies sometime. Maybe we'll do that near Halloween because that's kind of Halloweenish.
But if you notice during the situation with the fight, she's being like ragdoll.
She is kind of being led around by the staff.
She's like holding it like this and being pulled around. And
I just thought it was hysterical when the thing blows up the guy's car.
Blows up the car and it giggles. And she's like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, and so she's going to get blamed for it. So she goes back. She meets back up with the Luke Wilson character, and that's when he explains to her that he worked with the JSA, that he was a sidekick, and
he asks if are you okay? Is the staff okay? And she's like, yes. The car might not be redeemable or something like that. Lost market value.
Some nice little humor thrown in, sprinkled in here and there, which I thought was really cool. And then they go and she has a discussion with Mom, and they go and have a discussion on the front porch where he explains that he had his nickname Stripe, which is weird.
She's like explaining how it's not very all that.
Now
much,
she keeps saying
fearful.
Stripe E. It's just Stripe, right? Like
No, they did call him Stripe.
I thought it was,
Stripe E?
I thought it
Okay.
was Stripes with an S.
I thought so too. I thought the nickname was Stripes.
When he was younger, it was Stripe E,
Okay.
which made sense when Starman was called Sergeant Strike or something.
Star Spangled Boy.
Star
I think?
Spangled Boy,
Okay.
yeah, which is an actual DC character, by the way. I had to look it up while we were watching it the first time.
Hmm.
I remembered something about Star Spangled Lad. I think it is the official, if I remember correctly, the official comic book character. But yeah, he was an actual comic book character. I think really at the time it was DC's answer to Captain America
Hmm.
because they didn't want to do an overpowered man, so they did like a boy that kind of stood for Captain America. He didn't have a shield or anything, just
Just
I
the
don't know.
staff.
Yeah, just it's typical DC trying to do what Marvel does, but not. You know what I mean? So, long story short, they have their discussion. He suggests to her that maybe she not use this staff anymore because it's dangerous. Everything's dangerous. He does the typical father thing. Later that night, is it that night? No, it's the next day.
No, it's not night because it's still night out when she does this.
So it comes back that same night? I guess it's all the same night, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to go to bed, and the staff finds her.
Which we have some remarkable camera work going up the stairs.
I thought that was a pretty cool thing.
And we have a
Scares
bit of an ominous music cue if you heard it.
Yeah,
It was almost Scream-esque.
yeah. Scares the crud out of her. She falls out of bed. Mom comes upstairs. She has a discussion with Mom, and then I just, typical teenager, like, okay, good night. So the staff takes her out. They practice for a little bit. And then, because Brainwave was researching where the car got exploded,
Yeah, and then he's the father to the kid that the car blew
Right.
up.
he suddenly realizes that the staff is out somewhere. Well, the staff takes them. She's flying along, and all of a sudden, tires
fly
get
in the air.
thrown at her. And it's Brainwave, and she has her first interaction with Brainwave. And I thought I liked the way they're handling Brainwave, the fact that he can manipulate you mentally, physically. He's got, it's very typical Brainwave
He's
kind of
not-
stuff.
He's not downplayed. He is very
No.
much full power.
Right, and I'm kind of glad they didn't downplay his powers. That they definitely show you that he's got some serious, he's got some serious stuff behind
In
him.
efforts of trying to prevent her mind to be found information, like drags information out, the staff blows something up.
Yeah,
I couldn't quite see how that happened. Did he blow up like gas canisters?
Tires, yeah.
Tires.
And the other thing too that she's trying to do to block the guy. I don't know if you could block Brainwave. I don't know if you caught onto it. She's thinking about her dad because she's thinking about just her dad is just enough to kind of keep him from getting into her brain and figuring out who she
Right,
is.
which is also dangerous too because of who her dad is.
Right, exactly. Which she doesn't quite know that yet, and I don't think that the Luke Wilson character quite knows that yet.
I think he knows.
He doesn't want to tell her as well.
Right.
Yeah. So, long story short, she manages to escape just enough, and she gets outside, and that's where she meets Stripe for the first time, and that's pretty much
That's
the
the
episode.
big robot, and then like comes to black, and they play more 50s music. And
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
That's it, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I like how he says it, and they start playing more 50s music.
Right.
He,
Yeah, talking about Gary's music.
Talk
Yeah.
about me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
hey. I just used this hand. It's not
You're
necessarily
you're
You're pointing right at me.
I
you're
was
70
pointing over here. I was
You're
pointing way
70
over
years
here.
old, aren't you? I mean, like, that's
Oh,
what I'm talking about.
I'm
I guess
sorry.
I guess I am.
I'm sorry.
So, what did you guys think about this first episode of Stargirl? Was this like? I know for me, this is what drew me into the show. Like the minute we watched this first episode, and I realized that they were not only going to try to build the JSA potentially, but that they were going to honor the old JSA and really kind of do justice to the Justice Society. I really, that kind of made me happy. I was happy to see what they were doing. So to me, anybody who would ever ask me, I would be like, this is like an 8 or 9 out of 10, or I wouldn't have kept watching the show. It really drew me in quickly.
If ever, because this is the first time I watched the first episode.
Right.
I don't know if I'd have gotten into it.
Really, you think so?
Right.
Okay. What wouldn't you have been so keen on?
The pace for it. The pace
It was a little slow, this first one.
You know, the highlight for it is Grundy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was the highlight for me. And other than that,
Have we?
There was a lot of fluff as far as backstory and storytelling, and yeah.
And of course, it had my music in it too. So that's the other thing I like about it.
What you
My
grew up
goodness.
with. So,
Yep.
so Austin, like if you were gonna rate it, Carrie, out of a 10, what would you think you would?
Probably about 5 or 6.
Okay. So not great, but not like go home.
Right.
What do you
I'd
think,
be
Austin?
up with you around a 7 or 8, so I'm gonna put 7 down. Like the fact that they didn't depower Grundy. Like Grundy's very tall compared to many of the other guys.
It was probably the best representation for Grundy. You know,
Have we seen Grundy in anything else for DC
Gotham.
shows?
He showed up in Gotham, but I really kind of felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, he was very underpowered. He was all white. He was very weird, and quite honestly, I don't feel like it was Solomon Grundy at all.
He wasn't big enough.
Right. He didn't have that Hulk size going on.
Which is basically DC's version of the Hulk.
Right.
Except he's
so you can't. To me, you really can't downplay him. You got to upplay him, if anything.
You gotta make him ominous and big in presence, and you kind of, as I mentioned when we watched it, you see him as he's running. You see this like swinging motion, and if I remember correctly, he was hung. Correct.
Yes.
So that's the noose hanging at his neck stuff.
Yep.
So the characters are well portrayed and played out correctly. We see a nice progression. It's not like she picks up the staff and she can wield it like it's second nature. She's training with it. You can kind of see that progression, and I like that. I like the fact that Stripes has went to Stripe and has built a robot, and we learn more about it later on in the series, which I will try to keep separate. I like the fact that it's a nice flat area to build the world on. But it's not 100% like we are going to jump right in with Stargirl. We kind of established what happened before, and here's where we're going now.
That is the one thing I appreciate about this. Like a lot of shows like to, especially comic book shows, like to jump right into the I got powers, now what do I do? Right? Like I kind of felt at times like Flash did that quite a bit, and I think they tried to stay away from that. Right. I think they tried to stay away from that this time around.
Yeah, they definitely tried to make it more round.
And I feel like Stargirl as a teenager felt like a teenager. I think it's why Ruth, our daughter, got drawn into it because she played the teenager role well. And I think that any teenage girl watching this show who kind of grew up like this girl did, kind of like, she wasn't really the outcast, but she felt like the outcast.
And you do see her lash out after some punk boy tries to take her phone, and she throws a punch.
Right. I mean, so she you know.
What I saw was she went from being this popular girl out in California to be Miss Outcast in Nebraska.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that's it. You wrapped it up right there. So I'm kind of glad that they're portraying that because some kids go through that. You know, and I always think that you're when you're a teenager, you're always trying to find somebody who's gone through the same crap you're going through, and you're just trying to make sure that you're not the only one feeling the way you're feeling. And so I think this show kind of hit up on that, at least as far as like kids who've moved around the country and stuff. So those are our thoughts on Stargirl. I know it's kind of weird for us to talk about something other than Star Wars or Star Trek or something like that, but we thought this would be a nice like introduction to something outside of Star Wars. And we may do another episode or two of Stargirl before we get into The Mandalorian because I think that these are kind of fun to do. So we hope you liked our review of Stargirl, and I hope we'd love to hear from you. So if you get a chance, email us, galaxycast@gmail.com, or find us on YouTube and make a comment, or find us on Twitter and Facebook and all those other social media apps. We'd love to hear from you. So, as we always like to say here in the Star Production Studios, may the Force be with those who listen. And Jedi Master Dillian.
Shazam! You're never gonna let that go, are you?
You know why?
Okay.
Because it's me.
Goodbye, Videoland. We're going to go and sleep because we all don't want to get COVID and we want to survive. And hopefully we'll see you all again soon. See ya.